Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined by Dustin, here to talk Star Wars with all you fans out there. If you're listening to us right now, do us a big favor, hit that subscribe button, download, comment, all of it. We greatly appreciate any little thing that you can do to help get our YouTube channel and podcast out there amongst all the other Star Wars ones, because there's quite a bit. And also, our chat is up and running, so bring us your questions, opinions, comments, all of it. We want to engage with all of you, and that's one of the best parts is talking with all the fans. But how you doing there, Dustin?
Yeah, doing well. So this will be a open-ended podcast. So the more interaction we can get with people that might be in the chat, the better. Because obviously we're in a dead period during Star Wars. Not a
Yeah,
ton of new things coming out content-wise.
yeah. So don't be afraid. We'll bring you in a part of the show just as much as we are. Bring your questions, and we'll talk about them. But yeah, to that point, like a lot of the news lately has been revolving around Star Wars Celebration that's coming out, or that's happening, I should say. And this year it's going to be in Japan. So all tickets are already sold out and everything. And it will be April 18th through 20th. And it's, I really wish it was a lot closer because it's, with little kids and everything, it's really hard to travel to someplace like Japan. I mean, it's hard to travel to Japan without kids, with jobs and everything, but throwing the kids in, it's that much more difficult. So I know I went when it was in Anaheim, and that was so much fun. And I would love for it to come closer so that so like Dustin, we could get together and we could go to it. Bogey or Greg or Zach, if anyone else wants. I know Zach used to attend quite a few celebrations, so I just think it'd be a lot of fun to get a group of people to go and just be around a bunch of Star Wars fans.
Let's get a business card cannon, load
Yeah,
the business cards in.
like a shirt cannon, but use it for business cards.
That's right.
Hey, we had flyers that I handed out. I went around like a bunch of the picnic tables and just started putting stacks down and everything. And I'm really curious how many people actually picked one up and kind of looked at it. But I'm sure
Probably
there were,
only a couple.
yeah, probably only a couple, but I'm sure someone did. At least if they were sitting down eating something. What is this? Oh, okay. But um, it's just so great because it's not just like the actual, because they'll have panels and they'll have special events and everything, but it's like the community around and everything that's taking place also outside of the actual celebration that just makes a lot of things entertaining. Because I mean, we were in Anaheim, and uh, the Angels were having a home series at that time, so they had Star Wars night at one of the Angel games, and I went, and like the fans were great. I mean, Angels, at least as of recent, haven't been the best team in baseball, and usually when you go to games with teams that like aren't great, the fans that are there are typically more humble because they're just there to enjoy the day and enjoy some baseball. Because if they were super passionate, why would they just want to get pissed off all the time? So, but yeah, the fans were great. I really struck a conversation with this one gentleman. He was there with his kid, and he was actually a big Star Wars fan too. And we linked up on Instagram and everything, and we've thrown messages back and forth throughout the past. And he he contacted me not too long ago, and he was like, "I have all this Star Wars junk." He didn't say junk, but it's like collectibles and toys. Like I'm trying to get rid of. He was selling it though. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna. If you were giving it for free, I would definitely take it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But um, yeah. But it's just so many great events that take place, and everyone's dressing up, whether it's cosplay or like Star Wars stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So I think you would. I think you would enjoy it. So
Yeah, I definitely would. I would love to get to one eventually, but like you said, with young kids, it's just tough because you know, chances are you're not bringing them, and if you are bringing them, it's a lot of work, a
good
lot of
luck. It's
stress.
hell.
Yeah. So chances are you're not bringing them. So then you have to find a sitter, and then or in our case,
Well, you're
just
lucky.
family.
You have family
Yeah.
like right in
Yep.
town now, so that is definitely helpful and
hmm
beneficial. So,
Which is why we even moved here, and we are going to get some benefit from it. We're going to Charlotte, North Carolina, end of March, middle of March, end of March, to go see a buddy of mine, and grandparents were looking after the kids. I think we're leaving Thursday afternoon and then get back Sunday evening. So, it's like 2.5 days, or maybe Friday. Yeah, I mean 2.5 days roughly.
okay.
So it's not too long, and we don't have to take up too much time on vacation. But stuff like that is really nice to
Yeah.
get away, which is Callie and I. So, hey, I have to bring up a point completely unrelated to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um, but since it's kind of in such a dead period, might as well talk about something different. I recently went back and watched the two Hellboy movies.
Mm.
They are so good, and they hold up really, really well.
Who's the lead? What's his name?
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the acting's great. The storyline is awesome, especially in the first one.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is why Guillermo Guillermo del Toro can't finish the third one, because the movie clearly ended on a cliffhanger. You know?
I think I've only seen the first one. I don't think I've seen the second one.
Oh man, the second one is good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I've actually never, I don't think I've seen the movie all the way through. I think maybe I've caught it on TV and kind of watched like it through like the
Yeah.
middle to the end.
Yeah.
It is excellent. And there is definitely more story to tell with Ron Perlman. But the problem is he's getting older. So it's like it's got to be, if you want it to be him, it's got to be done, I would say, in the next 5, 10 years at the latest.
Well, they still
But
got the technology to de-age him. I mean,
eh,
obviously you would rather not have to use that technology for, I
well,
mean,
here's the thing
one, it
about it
costs a
though.
lot of money and they probably don't want to spend the money if they don't have to. So
You don't necessarily need to do that in the sense that, he's got so much makeup on
makeup.
him.
Hmm.
But I'm just saying, I mean, he's getting older, right? And, if you get older, you can leave this ethereal plane. So I'm just saying, Ron Perlman's a treasure. And so again, like there's a scene in the second movie where he's mortally wounded. I'm not going to say spoiler alert. Okay, this movie's over like
It's been,
a
yeah,
decade old.
you don't need a spoiler alert.
He's mortally wounded, so they go to this creature to save him, and she's like an oracle. She seems like a demon herself. He basically is like, "Do you really want me to save this guy? Because he's gonna destroy the world pretty soon." And his girl, the fire girl from the first
Yeah.
movie, is like, "Yeah, I want to save him. I don't care." And she's like, "All right, I guess." I mean, and then at the very end of the movie, you find out that Fire Girl's pregnant with his kids, right? So, and that's a whole interesting concept in and of itself.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just saw him over the weekend, and it just reminded me of how good those movies are, and how
That's
much I wish there's a third one.
that's definitely like a on TV movie to like, I mean, I don't even put movies in anymore. It's so I can't say like I'm gonna throw in
Yeah,
like a Blu-ray or something
yeah.
like that. But like I don't know if I'm sitting down and going to stream a movie, probably not the movie I would pick. But if I'm scrolling through channels and it's on, then I would probably land
But I
on
mean,
it.
it's on Max. Both the movies are on Max,
Yeah.
so you can find them. And another thing too, I'll say the gentleman who plays the main protagonist, or no, sorry, the main antagonist in the second movie, just phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
He's really really good.
Who's the actor?
It's a guy I've never heard of before,
Okay.
so I couldn't even tell you off the top of my
Don't
head.
know if he's
I
in
looked
other
him up. I looked him up,
other
and
movies or
I mean, I guess maybe he's still in my searches. So let me find out. This is great for podcasts right here, searching things. But
Are you gonna go? Are you gonna see the new Captain America movie?
probably gonna wait for that one to come out on
Disney Plus?
Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought it.
it's not on my search thing right away, like a tab open. So,
Mm,
um, yeah, I don't know the actor, but he's phenomenal. I mean, he does a great job in his character, and he's very believable as like a badass who could kill anybody.
hmm.
So, all I'm saying is, if you get a chance, Munch, I would watch that movie. So,
Okay.
and the movie is such uh you don't have to have seen the you you didn't have to see the first movie to really get
Right.
into it.
But I have seen it, the first
Yeah.
one. It's been a while, but I have seen the
Yeah.
first one.
Yep. So anyway, not Star Wars related, but pretty cool movies. And we're here to talk about sci-fi stuff too,
I
right?
mean, we're nerds in general, so. And hey, I mean, like I said, MegaCon was just the other weekend, so MegaCon would probably have a lot of people cosplaying Hellboy as well. So, um, have you ever been to like any kind of Comic-Con type event?
No, no, I haven't had the chance to,
Have
but
you have you ever seen like what it looks
I can
like
imagine.
what
I've
it
been to
entails?
conferences.
Yeah, it's I mean it's like a conference thing where it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of booths
Yep.
and whatnot. And
Yep.
obviously there's like meeting rooms that have panels and big
Mm-hmm.
auditoriums that have larger panels or discussions or whatnot. Um, but oh my gosh, like talk about a place where at least I could drop like so much money just in 15 minutes, and everything is usually pretty costly anyways. Um, just because when you buy things in that kind of setting, there's a little bit more of an upcharge, I feel like. So
Speaking of
um
blowing money, I read an article that like sports betting was up like 25% over last year.
real well, does that have a lot to do with it becoming more legal in more
Of
states?
course, yeah,
Yeah.
and becoming more accessible.
Yeah.
And I mean, you literally could not throw a dead cat without hitting an advertising.
Dead cat.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like if you took a dead cat and you threw it, it would hit a gambling advertisement. They're all
They
over the
are all over
place.
the place, that's for
And
sure.
I'm not gonna get on my high horse, but I'm lucky that I haven't really got into it at all. I think I placed one sports bet my entire life, and it was on an XFL game. And
Outside
when
of
I was
like
in Vegas,
fantasy football, because that's still technically gambling.
yeah, you're right. Okay, so true, but you can't like up the ante. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't be like, oh man, I lost this week, but you know what? Next week I'm gonna put $20 more in. Like that's not really how it works. So, but the problem is to me, those companies are despicable because they prey on people's advertisement. And I just find this funny that the at the end of every like gambling advertisement, like if you're out of control, call this
Helpline.
number.
Yeah.
Basically, call this number, telling yourself. But it's funny, like we're gonna create this addiction for you, and then we're gonna make you stop the addiction. It's like that is gaslighting at its finest.
So true. I think because sports betting is legal in Wisconsin, so you can use your phone to.
I don't think it is,
Yeah, it
or
is.
if it
It's
is, it just happened. Because
because it's was legal in Chicago, and because Chicago is so close to Milwaukee, like there was a lot of pressure to bring it to Wisconsin. So I'm pretty sure because I have friends that are pretty into the sports betting. Minnesota, it's still not legal, but they're projecting the last thing I looked up on it that by the end of this year it might become legal. So
I mean, just gambling in general, people they'll never tell you what they lose, right? They always tell you
always
what they
tell you what they
win.
win.
But the reality is they're either breaking even, making, I mean, there are some random people that get a nice payout, but again, they don't tell you that it cost them 10 grand to get a 12 grand payout. So they're only up two. And then that was one day. And then the other day they lost four. So
Net
it's just,
gain is always a negative. unless you're like over through like your lifespan.
Yeah.
Net gain will always be a negative unless you're a lucky, like probably less than a tenth of a percent of people out there.
Yeah, and I know we're getting way off topic. I just found it fascinating that it's just getting, the highest percentage of sports bettors right now are like young male
Yeah.
adults,
Yep.
and they are putting themselves into debt and some dangerous situations. So it'll be interesting to see, in the next decade, like, I mean, people are already struggling financially, and then, I mean, it's literally throwing money down or into a fire. I mean, it's
Yep.
really what it is.
Hmm.
And not only does it have negative financial impact, but it has a lot of negative impact personally to these people, right?
Yeah.
Causes a lot of stress and anxiety. It causes a lot of interpersonal relationship issues.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember I saw that movie that Adam Sandler put out. Trying to remember the name of it. It's so frenetic. Like, watching it was anxiety inducing.
Is it one of his newer movies?
No, it's probably,
Oh,
gosh, man, it's probably like 5 to 10 years old now. Trying to think of the name off the top of my head, but he's like a, sports bettor, betting on
I can.
basketball games.
Yeah, I feel like I can visualize the trailer, but
Something to do
I
with
have never.
diamonds, right? Something to do with diamonds. Because he like ran a jewelry store or something.
He's got to be
And
one of the like. He's done so many things, and I don't think many people would consider him successful, but I think he's probably one of the most successful actors.
he's great, man. And I would say of all, I don't say of all the celebrities, but of a lot of celebrities, he seems like the most down to earth person that you would meet and feel
Yeah.
like, oh man, it's like that's like my neighbor.
Well, I don't think he's really caught up in the system. You know,
Hmm.
he's very independent. That's why he has his own independent, like, what is it? Um, Not Happy Gilmore, but Happy Madison film industry for a while because he like similar to George Lucas, like wanting to do their own thing and not be like managed by someone else.
I am worried that they're going to fuck up the Happy Gilmore sequel. I mean, like they're like Travis Kelce's in it. That was a bad omen to me. He's just
Yeah,
so overexposed already. Like the Kelsey brothers, I just see him on TV and I just go, ugh.
they weren't meant to be celebrities. They're meant to be football players. That and like I don't know.
What's
They're
not in
cross.
that? To me, it's just, I mean, they can be celebrities, but they're just jammed down your throat constantly.
Yeah,
And they did some cool things. I mean, like Jason Kelsey seems pretty down to earth, and
I
so
think
like, yeah.
Jason Kelsey seems more down to earth than Travis Kelsey.
So there's a joke. It's not my joke, but it's a radio host on a St. Louis program, and he's like, Travis Kelsey's the type of guy that would like steal your girlfriend and make it feel like it was your fault, you know? Yeah, hey man, she was gonna cheat on you anyway,
Like
dude.
a
So I just
bros,
do you a
bro.
favor. Dude, exactly. Exactly, dude.
Yeah,
So
I could definitely see that.
so
He does.
anyway, I thought that was yeah, that was funny. But anyway, we digressed big time. We were talking
Uh,
about how cool Adam Sandler was. But before that, I think we were talking about Star Wars. But
yeah, but I was just mentioning that, the layouts of like Comic Cons and everything. And I know they have a big one here and they always have it at the state fair. And I've been to that one once.
hmm, the State
Uh,
Fair, they do the horse barn smells like shit.
it was really cool though. It was in the area. Have you ever been to like it's not like a banquet room, but you know where the main stage is at the Minnesota State Fair?
Hmm.
And then they've kind of got that like assembly room that's like under it. It's like a huge space. It's like under
Yeah,
the stands. That's where they
the
had everything.
grandstands.
Yeah, it's under the grandstands.
Hmm.
And it was really cool. It was really neat. They had a bunch of booths laid out. I have a bunch, or not a bunch. I have three pictures that I have hanging up here that I got from there, and I got a few other things, but I got a bunch of comics that I got like the number one Vader that was so hard to find and so hard to get at the time. So um but it's so cool just running into certain people and talking Star Wars and talking about their passions. And we've been trying to talk about getting more guests onto our podcast, and it's kind of a similar thing, like bringing people that have like a skill or a strength or a passion, something specific to Star Wars that they do that we can learn about and talk about. And that's what's so cool. So
Yeah. Hey, we got to give a shout out to our good friend Lindsay
oh yeah,
because she asked us about playing. They're going to go back and play
Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights of the Old Republic, and they're asking if it was worth the time. And like,
And you were
you
like 15
fucking
out of 10, yes.
yeah, I was like, absolutely, absolutely, man. It'll get you into a whole different world of Star Wars that just brought us a lot of joy.
The story was so great.
Yeah,
uh, she brought that up the other day, and it made me think, like, do I want to start it again and go through that and play it? Because I never actually even finished it because mine glitched out like towards the end. And when you're playing a game and you get to a certain point, and then if it like just ends on you, you're like, well, I really don't want to go back through and invest all
yeah,
that time again.
oh yeah.
So I
Hmm.
I like looked up and read what happens at the end, watched some videos and everything. But yeah, I remember that too, and I was so pissed. But such a great game leading up
Did you
to
get the
that point.
red circle of death? Is that what happened, or just the
No,
game itself
it's
glitched?
nope. It's I remember it was kind of like a not really a desert, but it's a bunch of like tents. It's almost like a medieval like battlefield where you've got the soldiers with tents and everything. There's a bunch of these like canopy tents, and I went into one and I was talking to an NPC, and it was going through the dialogue, and then I made a selection, and then it just nothing happened. And like there was no
You
prompts. You
you
couldn't
couldn't go back to your last save,
Nope, it couldn't go back to the last save. No, well,
turn the game off,
even when I go back to my last save, it would run into the same situation
then
because
just don't
like,
go in that tent.
well, but it was part of the path that I was on, and I was younger at this point. Maybe there are other things that I could have done that I didn't realize, but I mean, my brother was a big gamer and he was with me, and we couldn't figure out how to get past this certain point.
Sounds like you
So,
guys are fucking quitters.
well, I quit at that point because I was trying everything that I could do, and nothing was working. So, but um, I I do want to go back and play that again at some point. It's just I can't even finish um Jedi Survivor right now. There's just no time to do anything. It's so tough. But
Well, and you almost have to find time at night, and when you have young kids, it's tough because you're just so worn down and tired.
I was just talking to Colleen about this yesterday. I was like, you get so worn out, but me, I'm such an introvert that the way I regain energy is I have to have downtime for myself. So it's like at the end of the day, like at this point, I can either have downtime to myself or I can get more sleep. But I get more energy by like having that downtime. So I do that downtime at the expense of getting more sleep. So I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, it's funny. Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that
So
expression.
I came across this game. It's called Avowed.
Okay, I haven't heard of it.
It's a new RPG that's out. It follows the Pillars of Eternity universe, which again I've never played that one either.
Mm-mm.
But it's made by Obsidian, and they made a really good game recently called The Outer Worlds, which I really loved playing. Uh, really quite interesting. But I just came across it because it was like sponsored on some ad and on Facebook. So I guess those are working. But and I haven't bought it yet because I don't even know if I'll have the time to play it. And that's the thing. Like I want to play it
I
because
know.
I've seen that it's good and it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
But when am I going to do it? Like it's going to have to be at night, And just lately, I just feel so worn out. For anybody listening to this that doesn't have kids, or anybody that will listen to this that doesn't have kids, it is like having two full-time jobs.
Oh, for sure.
Like so, I mean, you
It's
wake up.
more having a kid is
It is more
more than
than,
a full-time job.
and I'm not trying to scare anybody away. I mean,
No, it's worth it. It's worth it.
it is it's rewarding. I haven't got to the rewarding part yet, so I'm assuming it's coming. But
Oh, come on. You've had rewarded like
I don't
when
know.
Jackson has his smile, man, and he looks at me and and he's like, hi. It's like, okay.
I don't know, man. When my kid's
They're the little
smiling, I think
moments that
he's
make it
up to
worth
something.
it. Well, that too, but
Oh man, dude, our daughter, she's like, I'm really worried about how much of a handful she's going to be as she gets older because like like at dinner, if she doesn't want something, she'll just fucking throw it on the floor, like in anger.
oh, well, Jackson doesn't do it in
I want to
anger.
pick it up and shove it in her face. Be like, okay, I don't. Okay, I don't.
He's being
I just
sarcastic, everyone.
I just sit there calmly and be like, that's not how we do things, Raina.
So what's worse? Like doing it and throwing it? Or this is what Jackson does when he's done. He takes it and he just stares at you. And you're like, don't do it. And he's like,
I
and he
think your son is a cat because
drops
that's
it.
what
Yeah.
cats do.
Yeah.
They'll
Very much like
look
that.
right at you and just slowly
He
push the
wants the
thing off the ledge.
reaction. Oh man,
But
so
see, here's the thing.
he
It's
looks
not,
like me, but he's got the personality of clean. And he's gonna be a troublemaker, man. I can sense it.
yeah. So I don't think it's that our daughter wants the reaction. I think it's just that she's pissed and she's just
Mm.
going to just do anything to not like have like food around her. Like, and that's just one example. She's obsessed with like accessories too. Like she needs her shoes on and her coat on and her hat on, like way before she needs it. She brings it to you and you're like, this, we're not ready for this yet. She gets kind of pissy about it.
That's
Like, I don't know what to
hilarious.
tell you. There's an order of operations to putting your clothing on. I'm not putting your coat on before anything else.
Because how old is she now?
She's 18 months, a
Yeah.
little bit past that. Or I guess, no, she will be 18 months in March,
Okay.
officially. Pretty close.
Yeah, because Jackson's just like what, 2 months older than her?
Yeah, she was born in September, end of September.
And Jackson was end of June, June 20th. So 3 months. But
But you
it's
wake up,
rewarding.
and it's right away, and my wife does a great job of, she probably takes the brunt of the child rearing.
Oh, my wife too.
But I do a lot of the cooking and a lot of the cleaning. So I mean, there's always a trade-off, and
Yep.
that's how things
Same
should
here.
be. But
Yep.
again, it, just like nonstop. And then when you want that downtime to recharge yourself, it's just not there because you're so tired. You're like, I'm just gonna go to bed.
Yep.
That's happened to me so often lately, and it's like, man, I wish I had the ability to stay up a little longer to maybe even watch like, I don't know, like a 30 less than 30-minute episode of Family Guy or something.
Well, I found myself watching more like YouTube, not like shows or anything, but just y- people doing podcasts or YouTube channels because like, and most of them are Star Wars related. So hey, there it's relevant.
I've been watching a
Um,
lot of fishing ones.
because like I have a tendency just to fall asleep like on the couch when I'm trying to like have my downtime.
I
So
know, dude, I could never do that.
watching something like that, it's easier to be like, all right, well, I fell asleep in the middle, no big deal. If I do that in the middle of a movie, then it's like, I've got to go back and watch portions of it and everything. So I've noticed that I've been watching a lot more YouTube recently versus like movies or shows.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I think YouTube's taken over everyone's like YouTube, TikTok, Reels, all that crap, taking away everybody's attention spans.
I don't watch much TikTok. I have TikTok and I use it a lot for like creating content for our podcast and our YouTube channel. But like I don't really spend a lot of time watching the reels. I'll watch a few, but I don't know. I'd rather watch YouTube personally.
I'm interested in learning, and this is something maybe you could start researching. I'm sure somebody is researching it, but like the long-term effects of things like YouTube and TikTok, because there is some great content out there that helps you learn a lot of things, right? I mean, I use YouTube to figure out how to cook things and all that. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not saying there's not a great way to utilize the resources, but there is so much like just junk content,
Yeah.
like junk. And like a good example, I think we talked about this, but like kids just watch these. So my nieces were watching, like young nieces, like that are maybe two, were watching these fucking brat snot fucking kids, like in a mansion. I'm not talking like a normal mansion. I'm talking like an obnoxious
Over the
mansion.
top.
And they're playing around and it's fucking it's just mindless horseshit. And I'm sure again, these people are filthy rich. They probably have an editor doing all their shit for them, right? And but there's no value to it. It is like eating or drinking like soda every day. There's no value at all. It's just, I mean, if you want to call it entertainment, I mean, the kids seem to be entertained, but they're like entertained like a zombie would be, like just
Yeah.
staring their mouth agape. And
It's
again,
strictly entertainment.
I'm sure there are things like that when we were kids, right? I'm just, I don't want to be like old man yells at cloud, but it's kind of jarring because you you just look at it for 10 seconds. It physically made me mad because I was like, it's just the first of all, it's just the rich getting richer. It's like these bratty kids that don't have anything better to do. They're well, I find it ironic that I'm complaining about this while we're casting live to YouTube. So but
The irony in that.
yeah, but they probably just paid off the algorithm somehow, right? I mean, there's ways to figure out the algorithm
Yeah, but
that
the
we
thing,
haven't done. I mean, and I know we're not really trying, but like there's
well,
ways to like really hone in on the algorithm. That's what Mr. Beast did, right? He's like
yeah,
obsessed with the algorithm and he's figured it out, right? I mean,
but
he's a
we are,
genius. He's a very smart guy. I've never seen any of his content. I know some of it's like heartwarming stuff, but here's my thing also, as a society, right? Just this is my personal opinion. I think other people share it, but like, and this is just sort of related to Mr. Beast, but like if you're doing something really altruistic, you don't have to film it, right? Because there's so much of that, like, oh, I saw a homeless guy and he was talking to the restaurant and he was hungry and needed food and they were driving him away and I bought his food, but I'm also recording every second of it. It just completely devalues the good-natured act to me because you're doing it for yourself. Like to again, I'm going off on such a tangent here. You know what I mean?
it's okay. It's all right. It's
But
great.
but like,
It's
but
great.
like, you know, nothing is really selfless in a sense, right? Like if you do something nice, it does make you feel good, but you're also doing it so you can like go viral, which
Yeah,
anyway, I
The
can
the
tell
only thing I'll say to that is
I literally am old man yelling at cloud.
the thing I'll say to that though is like at least that like ego or like attention seeking is being put into something good versus something bad, because like individuals that kind of want that, they're going to seek ways to get that no matter what.
Well, like the pranks that like put other people at risk
Yeah.
just so you could get
Yep.
a
Like I would
viral
rather,
moment.
I've seen clips of I don't know who this is, but I've seen a couple of them from this guy where he is at like universities and he sees like someone studying in the library, and he goes up to them and is like, I'm hungry, do you have any food to share? And if the person like offers him food, then he gets in a conversation with them and finds out details, and like, they don't have that much money, they can't afford rent, blah blah blah. And then he ends up giving them not only like money for rent, He gives them like $100,000, gives them a car and stuff like that over the span of like a couple of days.
That sounds
And
like a Mr. Beast thing.
yeah, I mean, it's very, it wasn't Mr. Beast, but it was someone similar to that. But like, if it's true and if it's authentic, like at least that's something good. At least that's something life changing. So I can get beyond the kind of elements of self-centeredness in that. Like I'm trying to get a little praise or get views and stuff like this for this content, but at least something good is coming out of it as well.
Hey, so to dovetail this conversation into like Hollywood, did you see Maya Hawke kind of revealed a dirty secret within Hollywood culture that now like
No,
executives are
do
trying to find what's that?
I said no, but do tell.
Yeah, so I mean this blew up on the internet, and her father actually even talked about it. So they're trying to recruit actors based on their follower count on
Oh,
social
I did
media.
hear this. I did hear this. Yes. Continue.
And so like, it's I don't care. Some people like these executives, right? They want the follower count so that they can, you know, leverage that, of
It's
course.
advertisement. It's free advertisement.
But it's funny, I think Ethan Hawke was quoted or somebody was quoted recently. It's like they don't even care the skill of the actor. You know?
Yeah.
They're like Robert De Niro is not like a good looking guy with like tons of followers. He was just a really good performer and actor. He was really good at his craft. So to me, that could lead to a lot of really bad like content being actual movies and shows that we're going to see in the
Well, and
coming years because you're just going to get a bunch of influencers that suck at acting.
and do you think, not the entire decision, but do you think there's an element of these, like, of, we'll say Disney or film industries or whatnot, that want to utilize like controversial topics because they know how much it will explode and bring in conversation and attention? For instance, I think of like relating it to the NFL. Like, they have the technology to have sensors in footballs to know where the ball is if it crosses the line, but they don't do it. Why? Because it creates controversy, which brings conversation, which brings attention. Do you think there's elements of that in the movie industry as well? I have to believe there is.
There's elements in that in every aspect of life, right?
Yeah.
Like even within your own friend group, it's like the drama. Like people like drama because it causes controversy, and then they're in the spotlight, right? It's just in every walk of life. So it's just worse when it's financially motivated like that.
Yeah. And I think that's what I think that's why we've seen a lot of the stuff that we've seen, and why the content hasn't necessarily been the greatest either, because like, I don't know, there's been so much attention to it negatively, but there's no such there's no such thing as bad publicity, if you've ever heard that expression.
Oh, of course.
So it's like, is that intentional as well? Maybe. But I know we've talked about this so many times, but I'm just hoping there's a change in Disney and in the content that we're getting. I just want to see good stories again, and I really miss it, and I think we've been missing it for quite some time now. I mean, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think if anything, they're first going to double down, and then once a change starts happening, then you still got another like 3 to 5 years for that content to be released. So it's like we're going to go through another decade, I feel like, of still well, subpar content, I'll say. Would you?
Definitely, it definitely is trending that way. I guess you have some hope with things like Andor and hopefully future projects that are coming out. Obviously, Ahsoka was good, and there's some bad moments, but overall, I think it was a good show. So you have that coming out, and I'm not really very hyped about the Mandalorian project. Just hasn't really grabbed my attention yet. But all that said, yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to go through even a decade of, I mean, it happened after the original trilogy, right? It was more than a decade, a couple
Yeah.
decades where there
To
was no
play
content. I guess except the EU.
right, which was great content. A lot of Legends and EU, like a lot of great content. Um, to your comment about Andor, to play devil's advocate a little bit, because I love Andor. It's one of the best shows that has come out, or one of the best Disney things that we've gotten so far. But is it that good in our eyes because everything else is like subpar?
No, I think it was just that good.
Okay, you do think it was that good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, I loved it. I think the acting is great. I think the storytelling is great. There's nothing I really didn't love about it. I just in the back of my head wondering like, do I feel this way about this show really because it is that good, or because like everything else Star Wars has been on the spectrum of like okay to like subpar to
I think all in
lowest level
some
acolyte.
it's wonderful. So no,
Okay.
I disagree with that premise that it's better because the tide was so low, it just had to raise it a little bit. It's like the James Cameron, you gotta raise the bar. So but yeah, man, I think we went from
Hey,
topic to topic to top. We could have a TED talk.
yeah, and we've actually hit 45 minutes. Well, close to 45 minutes. We were kind of wondering how far we would actually get with this because again, there's it's just that time of um the Star Wars franchise where there's not much coming out. So we'll get Andor here in April. And then I think what is it, season 2 of Ahsoka at the end of it? No, it's Andor and then Visions, and I think that's it. Because there's not much coming out this year. So but we'll still be here. We'll still have things to talk about. Looking forward to get it. We'll get lots of news coming out of Star Wars Celebration. There always is a big explosion of news and stuff coming out. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting where the next one will be. And hopefully, I don't know, we can figure something out to go. Maybe it'll be in Chicago, so it'll be super close. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be nice. That's only like a
Um,
couple hours.
one last thing I'll bring up really quick. I saw this and I thought it was great. He was talking about Galaxy's Edge. So if you haven't heard, they're going to bring in like Luke Skywalker, something about for the first time because like it's sequel trilogy. And they're doing this only for a certain occasion because they wanted Galaxy's Edge to be specific to sequel trilogy and whatnot. Um, I saw someone make, I think this was on TikTok actually. So I talked about I don't watch much TikTok, but I did see this that was talking about how stupid it was that Galaxy's Edge was made to revolve around the sequel trilogy, and they were comparing that to like the Harry Potter world. Like, it's the same if you did that in like the Fantastic Beast setting. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, what a missed opportunity to have Galaxy's Edge be like original trilogy or even the prequel trilogy. Like, and having Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, Darth Maul, like all these characters show up versus like Rey or Kylo Ren the obvious reason they did it is because Disney was trying to promote their Star Wars that they wanted to create and not attach to the old, but they could have made so much more money and done a lot more if they just would have stuck with like the original trilogy. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what's a pound? Shoot, what's penny something a pound foolish?
You're just full of expressions today. I love it.
Well, but I don't know the entire. Oh, a penny wise, pound foolish.
Okay.
That's the name. You know,
Pennywise. Think of it.
yeah, it's not the clown. But just saying, you're Pennywise.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's an English thing because
English.
pound. They're not referring to the weight; they're referring to the money.
Right.
So, but just yeah, you got like a penny's worth of wisdom in pound worth of foolishness. That's kind of what that is, right? Like they thought they'd use it to promote the movie, but really it cost them in the long run because A, the movie sucked, and B, the characters in the original trilogy are really what Star Wars is all about, essentially.
Yeah. I mean that the Star Cruiser already shut down. So it's like,
Yeah.
is Galaxy's Edge
That
just
that
gonna
was
go?
that was I don't necessarily know if that had anything to do with the movies. I think it was just
There's the
way too
price.
overpriced.
Yeah. But I think with Galaxy's Edge, I think there is still the potential they could backtrack. I mean, they change Disney parks all the time.
Yeah, dude, they got trillions of dollars.
I think they should do that, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Um, I'll just speak to our social media handles really quick. So you can find us.
Speak, preach, preach.
You can find us on Twitter at DetBlock AA23pod, on Instagram at detention_block_AA_23, our Facebook group and YouTube channel, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. And then, as we've spoken about, TikTok, you can find us at DetBlock AA23. And I've been really trying to push the content lately on TikTok. I even got this thing. It's
Oh,
a
geez.
gimbal.
Yeah.
I,
Oh, it's
I
got
think that's
like
what
a
they call it.
gyro gimbal.
Yeah, gyro gimbal. And it's got like face following and everything. So I'm really trying to make a push. I'm doing what I can, and people love the Black Series figure ones. That gets the most attention. So
Well, hey,
I'll
did you post the video of me getting murdered by my kid?
I got I did the first one because the first one is your second one is landscape, so it's a little
Yeah,
harder
yeah. Well,
to
because I was trying to get a wider
yeah, but it was
how'd
great.
that do? How'd that do?
I can look it up. You want me to look it up really quick? Give
I don't
you
know. If it's terrible, don't tell me. Oh, it only got 10 views.
no, no, it wasn't that. I'm looking. I'm looking. It got 73 views and 5 likes.
Hey, hey.
So hey, it brought some attention in. But it's been fun with TikTok, and I've busted out all my old all my Black Series figures, which I have way too many of them. But it's great. I will keep pushing out content for those that have been enjoying those. So thank you for all the engagement with those. But any final thoughts there, Dustin?
Just obviously we'll keep doing these, but not a lot of content as far as Star Wars goes. So you might find us talking about random things, but things might interest you, and we'd love to hear people chime in because that is how the conversations can, turn towards our listeners.
Yeah.
So,
And we're going to be bringing in Luke as a guest, and if you're one of our listeners out there and you've got a skill set Star Wars related, you do cosplay, or you a Star Wars photographer, or you have you worked in the industry, have you worked with Lucasfilm or whatnot, we'd love to have you on. We'll give you, your moment of glory to bring attention to yourself and talk about what you do. So if you're interested, let us know. And we're always looking for more prisoners to fill up those cells. And I think that's something we want to get back into, since it was really season 1 and early season 2 that we did that, and we haven't really done it since. So we want to get back into that. All right. Well, with that, again, hit that subscribe button, download, follow, like, review, rate, all of it, comment. We greatly appreciate it. And any little thing you can do helps us get our name out there amongst all the other channels. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, may the force be with you. Oh, you didn't try to match up that time.
I didn't.
That's fair. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later.